Hello there and welcome to another edition of Tour Confidential. I am Sean Zock, joined in studio by Jeff Ritter and Ryan Aselta. Gentlemen, the Charles Schwab Cup on the Champions Tour wraps up Sunday, and a guy not named Bernard Langer ends up winning. Kevin Sutherland takes the $1 million season-end prize. Bernard Langer, 7 victories this year, and he doesn't win. Seems like a flawed system to me. Jeff, is this what we want for our playoff system?
It sounds like a playoff system to me, not a flawed system. If you're going to have a playoff, this is what happens. You're going to get upsets, and you're going to get conversation the next day about that upset. I don't think we're talking about the Schwab Cup today if Sutherland doesn't win this thing. So yes, Bernard Langer had an amazing season, and nobody can take away the 3 majors and all the money he earned and prestige that he gained, but it's a playoff. You know, to me, it's no different than, say, the New York Giants beating the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl. I think that was 2007, or Villanova over Georgetown in the 80s in the NCAA tournament. Upsets happen in playoffs. The Schwab Cup had one, and now we're here talking about it. I think it's great.
Yeah, now Sutherland, he was ranked 5th in the season-long points race going into the event. I mean, that just meant that he was the last guy that could only win it on his own merit. That's kind of weird to a lot of people because Bernard Langer just dominated all season long. Ryan, do you think there's a solution where guys that were rewarded for the victories that happened during the regular season?
Yeah, we're talking playoffs? Yeah, I'm happy we're talking playoffs, guys. Yeah, I agree with Jeff here. Bernard Langer was clearly the player of the year, the season-long player of the year. But when you're talking about playoffs, and this was a 3-event Schwab Cup playoffs, Sutherland won this thing. Now, take nothing away from him. He had a great year as well. He had a ton of top 10s all season long. But I think we actually need to see more of this on the PGA Tour when it comes to the FedEx Cup playoffs. When you see Justin Thomas win the FedEx Cup playoffs, but he doesn't win the finale. Obviously, Xander Schauffele won that at the Tour Championship. That's a problem for me. You want playoffs? You go with what Jeff said. The best team during the regular season doesn't always win the championship. They win the regular season title, but that's not a title. A playoff title is what we're talking about. Sutherland earned it with a win. I think it's well-deserved. I think the PGA Tour can learn a little bit from this.
Yeah, it often breeds something that's not very climactic. And I know, Jeff, you have a theory when it comes to the FedEx Cup playoffs. You'd like them to be match play. You'd end up with the Tour Championship being like a 6-day event on match play. Do you think that that would apply to the Champions Tour?
Right, that's taking Ryan's idea of if you're going to win the playoff, you're going to be the playoff champion, you should win the finale of the event. So, yeah, ever since this FedEx system was put in about a decade ago, I've wanted this to be a match play. One, it takes the math out of a championship, which I just don't think anybody needs. And that's one thing you don't see in the Super Bowl, the Giants, Patriots, or March Madness. You don't need math along the way. It's right there in front of you. And I just think match play makes it simple. You seed the brackets based on where they are in the standings at that point, and you let them go, and they play for the big prize. So I think that would take a lot of the confusion out of it. You'd still get your deserving champion, and you still have the suspense. You'd still be talking about it the Monday after as well.
Yeah, I love the match play idea with Jeff on this as well. But let's not kid ourselves. A golf playoff system, there are flaws, even though we like the Schwab Cup. Sutherland could have won the playoffs with a 2nd or 3rd when it came down to it. That's a big problem. That did not happen, but if that did happen, I think we'd be a little more up in arms than we are this morning.
Yeah, we'd be talking about it a lot differently. A reason why we're talking about it, though, is because Grayson Murray, one of our favorite Twitter stars on the PGA Tour, ends up tweeting about the relevancy of the guys playing on this tour. He's responding to a tweet from Will Gray that just kind of outlined how he thinks the system is flawed. Grayson has a history of not being very PC on Twitter and on social media. It's a tricky line to cross or at least approach because PGA Tour players are independent contractors. They have sponsors. Is Grayson doing the right thing by letting his opinions fly, or should he kind of protect them a little bit more?
I think any employer, anybody who has a boss or has a company they work for, there's a certain code of conduct that you're expected to follow on social media, even if it's not specifically outlined. Journalists at Time Inc., there's still certain things we're not going to tweet about our personal lives. Accountants said, Price Waterhouse, same thing. PGA Tour has its own culture and its own sort of way of doing things and presenting yourself on social media. You're allowed to be yourself, but there's always lines not to cross. And Grayson Murray, for whatever reason, just seems to live on this line and occasionally cross it. And when he does that, the corporate culture, for lack of a better term, is going to come back to him as it's happening again with this latest Schwab tweet.
Yeah, Sean, I think Grayson Murray He's got to own it, though. Enough with the activate and deactivate your Twitter account. If you want to be this guy who's outspoken, says whatever's on his mind, no matter who it upsets, then be that guy. And you know what? I'll respect that. But to delete the tweet after he posted it, come on, Grayson. We all have the screen capture. We all saw the tweet, and we can save it. I think that's ridiculous. But when it comes to tweeting social media on tour in general, though, I think it's important for these guys because unlike other sports where middle-of-the-road guys on every team are really interviewed after almost every game, and you get to see their personality within the traditional media, PGA Tour stars can kind of play their round and disappear if they want to. So this really lets us get to know these guys. Would you even know Grayson Murray? I know he's got one career win. It just happened recently. But outside of his social media presence, would we know anything about Grayson Murray? I don't think so. And I think you could say that about numbers 20 through 120 in the world rankings.
Jeff, do you think that this is something you'd rather see from players, though? I know a lot of players on the PGA Tour, they handle PC and they stick to it. Ryan Palmer tweeted that he thinks that Grayson Murray this morning will be getting a call from the offices in Ponte Vedra. That'd be the PGA Tour offices. Do you see what you see from Grayson Allen as something Grayson Murray, would you rather see that from everybody on tour?
As a member of the media, I would love to be conferenced into that call, if that was possible, between the tour and Murray. We always want golfers and our athletes to be themselves, right? That's what we always say. We don't like scripted. We want to just get to know the true person behind the bag, behind the clubs. And so, but then there are these cases, and Grayson Murray's a great example, but it happens a lot where we all want to know our athletes until they say something we don't agree with or do something we don't like, and then it's we're up in arms. I just think Murray, to me, just doesn't seem like he's aware of where the line is yet. And to Ryan's point, he's deleting the Twitter account and reactivating it, and it just feels like he's a little bit disorganized still about what he should and shouldn't do. I mean, I give him credit for putting his opinions out there, but there's just a line that, to me, it seems like he's still struggling.
And he may hear from the PGA Tour because he criticized the PGA Tour property. That's where the problem is with the tour. If this was something else, be outspoken about it, and then he's only got to worry about his own wallet when it comes to his sponsors, how they feel about it. And on the tour, we know it's all about the green most of the time anyway.
Yeah. That's Ryan Aselta. That was Jeff Ritter. I am Sean Zock, and that is it for Tour Confidential this week. Be sure to tune in right here next week.